Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers, LA 21-12681, offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, this is Hunt Palmer.
Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. Means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. We're going to have some fun here on this Friday. Some NFL rumors about Isaac Yiadom and where he may be looking. Can he get back to New Orleans? James Hurst taking a pay cut to stay with the Saints. That's coming up a little bit later. Chris Demouy going to be with us talking baseball in 30 minutes. Wilson Alexander from The Advocate is going to join us today. Sadly, Wilson was supposed to play golf this afternoon, but it doesn't appear that's going to happen. So we'll catch up with him about the inner workings of the new arena on campus at LSU. Preston Guy, we're going to back him up an hour to 2:15 today, talking some LSU spring football. I've got thoughts on the opening weekend of SEC baseball, as well as scores from around the country in college basketball as tournament week continues to roll on. LSU bowed out yesterday against Mississippi State, who, by the way, is hammering Tennessee in Nashville as we speak. Maybe a big game for Tennessee as they try to get on that top line. Maybe not if they drop down if they were going to be a 2 or a 3. That doesn't really matter all that much. So if the Vols really want to secure a 1 seed, need to make a little bit of a run here, and Mississippi State's making that look a little bit difficult. Speaking of Mississippi State, LSU's baseball team in Starkville today as they will start the 30-game grind that is the Southeastern Conference schedule. You all know how I feel about this. It, to me, determines what your postseason fate will be based on the 30 games that you play in SEC play. You got to take care of your business in the pre-conference. Yes, it's important to do what you've got to do in the midweek, but the impact on the RPI and your standing in the nation's best league says a lot about what the selection committee will decide coming up on Memorial Day. And so we'll start that run tonight at probably 6 o'clock, and if the weather pushes things back and we find that out over the next 2 hours, we'll let you know about it. But I want to talk about this Mississippi State ball club. I think big picture, you all have a pretty good handle on what's going on in Starkville the last 3 years. You had a good team that got in the NCAA tournament a couple of years ago, got incredibly hot with some great senior leadership with Jake Mangum and Tanner Allen and some of those guys, and they found a way to get all the way through and beat Kumar Rocker in the national final to win the national championship. And you thought at that point, okay, they found Chris Lemonis. He steadied this thing. They finally gotten over the hump and won this thing, which quite frankly, they probably should have won a couple of times prior to this. And now they've finally done it. They've got this brand new ballpark that's as good as anybody in college baseball. This ought to be a program that really sustains some success. And the bottom has completely fallen out over the last 2 years. Completely fallen out. And the majority of that has been because they haven't pitched it worth a flip for 2 years. Scott Foxhall is an incredibly well-respected pitching coach, but it wasn't working in Starkville. They weren't playing defense either. The talent level has dipped. The rest of the league has risen, and Mississippi State has fallen. And the question now is, over the next 10 weeks, can Chris Lemonis do enough to save his job? There's a lot of skepticism about that in Starkville right now. If you were listening to the morning show today, in the 7 o'clock hour, Brian Haydad from Super Talk Mississippi was on with T-Bob Hebert and kind of painted a bleak picture about what this team is and what the future is over the next 10 weeks and into the offseason, where he thinks that a coaching change is likely to be made. That story will be told over the next 10 weeks, and LSU gets its opportunity first at the Bulldogs, and I think this is a great spot that LSU gets Mississippi State. It's a team that is relying on some inexperienced pitchers. We'll talk about that in a second. It's a team that I think has some younger hitters who are going to be better than they are right now. And I think the fact that LSU is catching Mississippi State before they've seen the rest of the league is a really good thing, specifically for LSU's pitching, because this will be a huge step up for Mississippi State because they didn't play really anybody in the non-conference. They didn't go to a Florida tournament. They didn't go to a Texas tournament. They've kind of stayed home and taken on Air Force, and they haven't really been tested. And now all of a sudden, here's Luke Holman, here's Gage Jump, here's Thatcher Hurd, here's Nate Ackenhausen. Like, they're going to see big-time arms, and for a lot of these guys, it'll be the first time they've had a experience like this since really the fall when they faced Mississippi State's arms, and I like LSU catching them there. The other side of this for LSU is it is vital, in my opinion, for LSU to get off to a good start. You know this, but coming up is Florida coming to the box, a trip to Arkansas. It's a very difficult place to play. Vanderbilt coming to the box. They've got 3 really good arms. And then you go to Knoxville, and that is a terrifying place to play right now because of the style of play and the talent level of Tennessee. They've got a really good offense, and that's a bandbox of a yard. They're going to hit a lot of home runs, and they've got power pitching. I think they're very good again this year. We know what they were 2 years ago. We know what they got to Omaha last year, and LSU sent them home. That's going to be a very difficult series to win. That's a really, really difficult stretch of 12 games. LSU needs to get off to a good start today, specifically, and then this weekend. I say today specifically because we got the news yesterday that Nate Dome will not pitch for Mississippi State this weekend. This was news to me as of yesterday. I told y'all on the show yesterday, I watched Mississippi State last Friday on TV because LSU got backed up due to weather, and I wanted to see what Mississippi State had as a Friday night arm, and I watched Dome pitch for about 4 innings last week. And he was good. The fastball was mid-90s. He threw some good sliders. He was striking guys out. He's been effective for them thus far. He will not pitch. I didn't see – I'd switched over to LSU by the time he felt something in his elbow. He called it a zing, and he was shaking his fingers. That's horrible, and we'll see what happens with him as far as the diagnosis goes. But we know that he's not going to pitch against LSU this weekend. So is Mississippi State going to move everybody up, or are they just going to fill the spot? They're going to fill the spot. Evan Ciari is going to pitch for Mississippi State tonight. He's not a starting pitcher. Evan Ciari is a 6'1", 190-pound sophomore who last year threw in 14 games for Mississippi State and only made 3 starts, and this year has pitched in 4 games, and only one of those was a start against Austin Peay in the midweek. He threw 2 innings, gave up 3 hits and a run in that outing against Austin Peay. Evan Ciari has not gone over 32 pitches in a game this year. Evan Ciari is not going out there to fire 6 shutout against LSU. They would, I'm assuming, love it if he got 12 or 13 outs tonight. His ERA last year was 7.07, and this year in 6 innings, he's given up 7 hits and 3 runs. He's a 2-seamer guy. He's got a little bit of a sinker. And I thought, well, why don't I go look and see if Ciari pitched against LSU last year? Turns out he did. Pitched in the series here in Baton Rouge through 2 innings. 2 innings of work, 5 hits, 3 of them left the yard. LSU hit 3 home runs off Ciari last year. So this is a monster advantage for LSU to send Luke Holman to the mound, a guy who has not given up a run this year, against a spot starter who's trying to go 3 innings. Huge advantage for LSU, and this is a game LSU needs to win. Because the pitching matchups, while I do believe in both cases favor LSU, I think they're pretty even. You look at Cal Steven, who's going to pitch for Mississippi State tomorrow. Big right-hander, 6'4", 215. I saw him opening weekend. He was Purdue's Friday night guy last year. And I know that's Purdue, and it's the Big Ten, and it's not the same. I get it. But he's been a Friday night guy in college baseball. Last year, Purdue, in Big Ten games that he pitched, went 6-2. He was 3rd team All Big Ten. And this year, in 4 starts, he's gone 6 innings plus in all of them. He's thrown 21 1/3 innings, only given up 8 earned runs, 16 hits, and his strikeout to walk is great. 26 strikeouts to 4 walks. Opponents are hitting 208 against him. This is a big physical right-hander who's a very capable college pitcher. I'm not telling you he's going in the first round, but I'm telling you that Evan Ciari's not a starting pitcher. This guy you're going to see on Saturday is. And Gage Jump is great, and I got all the confidence in the world of him going up there against Mississippi State. But Cole Stevens is a good pitcher. I keep saying Cole. Cal Steven, Kahl. Cal Steven is a good pitcher that LSU will see in Game 2. And then I think y'all are familiar with Mississippi State's Game 3 starter, Jerangelo Sainja. Sainja is the switch pitcher. He throws with his right arm, throws with his left arm. I've seen him enough now to know he, in my opinion, is more effective from the right side. He throws a little bit harder, and there's a little bit more snap on the breaking ball. He's a capable left-handed pitcher. He's got a three-quarter arm slot and throws a big sweeper with it, and it's fascinating to watch. But the real stuff, to me, comes from the right side. He's stretched out, Sainja is, and he threw 109 pitches against Mount St. Mary's. He threw 97 against Evansville, and his numbers are pretty good this year. 21 and 2/3 innings pitched. He has struck out 35 and only allowed 2 extra base hits in those 21 and 2/3 innings. So that's impressive stuff there. And that's not a huge step down from Thatcher Hurd. You could argue that Mississippi State's got an advantage there. I wouldn't, but you could. So tonight, massive advantage to LSU in the starting rotation. Tomorrow, split the difference. Massive talent in Gage Jump, who's kind of inexperienced in college. Veteran college pitcher in Cal Steven. And then big-time talent in the game on Sunday, and we'll see. Offensively for Mississippi State, this is really, really simple. Really, really, really simple, okay? And you're going to hear me throw a fit in this studio on Monday if I look up and Dakota Jordan has helped Mississippi State win 1 or 2 of these games. Dakota Jordan is one of the best players in college baseball. He is going to be a first-round pick. He could be the SEC's Player of the Year if Charlie Condon gets a conscience over in Athens, which he has not had to this point. He's out of control. But Dakota Jordan is hitting .415. He's got 9 home runs. Mississippi State as a team has 15. He's got 9. He had homered in 5 consecutive games before Wednesday when he didn't against UNO in Biloxi, but he is a star. And quite frankly, if he drives in more than 2 runs in this series, LSU as a staff has failed. There is no reason to allow Dakota Jordan to beat you. None. Behind him in the order is very likely going to be Hunter Hines. Now, Hunter Hines is a proven SEC all-conference caliber hitter. In his first 2 years, he hit 38 home runs, 22 last year and 16 as a freshman in the SEC. He is a great hitter by pedigree. This year, he has not been a great hitter. He's hitting .276. He's hit the ball out of the yard 1 time. He is slugging .342. This is a guy who slugged .683 last year. He's slugging .342. He might get white hot and hit 4 home runs this weekend, but I'm going to take my chances because Dakota Jordan will not beat me. If Dakota Jordan is hitting on the Tennessee lineup 2 years ago or LSU's lineup last year, and he's surrounded by Tommy White and surrounded by Cade Beloso and surrounded by Gavin Dugas and Dylan Cruz and Trey Morgan, well, then you don't have a choice. You got to pitch to somebody. I don't have to pitch to Dakota Jordan ever. Ever. The rest of this lineup is very pedestrian. Amani Larry's a nice talent, but he's hitting .309. David Mershon has really swung the bat well for him, but he's a singles hitter hitting .404. I'm not terrified about a singles hitter. Not Dakota Jordan. Anyone else but Dakota Jordan. I cannot handle that guy doing anything. If you want to walk him intentionally 6 times in 3 games, I promise I'm not going to take your man card away. To be the man, you don't have to beat the man. To be the man, you tell Dakota Jordan to go to first base and you strike out the next 2 guys because they're not very good. I cannot stress this enough. This guy is a star, and he's surrounded by a bunch of guys who haven't done squat. And I cannot sit here and allow Mississippi State to win baseball games because the All-American in the middle of the lineup has hit 2 home runs or driven in 5 guys or hit a home run in the 8th inning to tie the game when they're down 2. No. Go to first. That is just a huge deal. The bottom of this order for Mississippi State, you can feast on as a pitching staff. You've got Dylan Cupp hitting .246. You got Johnny Long, who's started 10 games for him, hitting .192. Logan Kohler is hitting .227. He plays every day. Bryce Chance plays just about every day. He's hitting .232. And this is against the non-conference teams. I'm very confident. I'm using this for a little bit for effect. You get the point. I don't think LSU's dead set on trying to blow fastballs by Dakota Jordan for 3 days. I'm sure that it's very, very clearly scouted what to do here, but I'm just setting the groundwork because I feel like this series is very important for LSU. I don't think this team's infallible like I did it sometimes last year, and I think they're going to hit some real speed bumps over the next 4 weeks. So with that in mind, I really think it's important to go get 2 games, and I just feel like Mississippi State's road to victory here is there aren't that many forks in it. It's kind of like they need LSU to really struggle to hit, and then you need Dakota Jordan to have a couple big swings. If I show up on Monday and LSU's lost 2 out of 3 because Dylan Cupp hit his first and second home runs of the year after coming into the series with no homers, hitting 246 and playing every day, then that's just part of baseball. I'll be mad about it, but it is what it is. When you sit down and grab your beverage to watch LSU tonight, just keep in mind what I've brought up here. All right, LSU and Mississippi State tonight at 6 o'clock. Weather permitting, they may have to bump it back a little bit because I did check the radar in Starkville, and it doesn't look super awesome, but they should be able to get it in. They will try to get it in. There's a late game tomorrow at 4 o'clock, so if you need to play till 11:45 or midnight tonight, I don't think the college kids are gonna lose too much sleep. I don't think they're going to be too upset about it, and the coaches really don't like playing doubleheaders, so I think they will play tonight at some point. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It is a Lenten Friday, so get on by Cork's for some awesome fried catfish, fried shrimp, baked potato, crawfish etouffee, all that good stuff is over there at Cork's. Got some Saints news today to get to. We'll do that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Platinum Window Tint, PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. You know that heat is coming. This morning I walked to the car and it was like 73 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning. So you know that the 100-degree temps are not that far around the corner. And what you can do is help mitigate those rising energy costs at your business or at your home with window tinting from the folks over at Platinum Window Tint. Check out the website. It's really, really awesome. It shows you a list of their services and the ability to request a quote right there at PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com. In some cases, 40% could be your savings on energy if you've got a lot of window exposure and you're just cranking out money because your AC is cranking out AC during those summer months. Go to the website and check them out. Request that free quote. It's PlatinumWindowTintLLC.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck.
Sandegriff, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the Queen Casino, the DraftKings Sportsbook. We're recapping a big weekend in college basketball and baseball, and the bracket is set for the NCAA tournament. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Chat with Chris Demouy coming up in about 10 minutes, talking LSU baseball with the former Tiger and national champ, as we do each and every Friday. Saints news over the last 24 hours has not been headlining news, but I do think this time of year, while it's awesome if your team adds Saquon Barkley, or you're the Falcons and you get Kirk Cousins, or the news cycle hits last year where the Saints get Derek Carr, and that's exciting news because it feels like it could drastically alter the path of the team for the next year. Also, maybe as important are the depth pieces that move around that fill out the 53. Every team has its headline players, and those are the guys that get the ink and the press clippings and that make the biggest plays, but sometimes they make those plays because folks around them are doing their job that may make the league minimum, but you got to have those guys. And so while neither of the two players I'm going to talk about here are household names in NFL circles, and maybe not even in a Saints household if it's not a diehard household, I do think that these are some important things that have gone on in the last 24 hours. One is a depth piece on defense for the New Orleans Saints. And Jeremy Fowler from ESPN is reporting that Isaac Yiadom is visiting Washington yesterday into today and may look into a contract with the Commanders. They've got a ton of money to spend. The experts over at Over the Cap say that almost $70 million the Commanders have to spend. And the Saints obviously don't have near that. They've got closer to $15 million to spend. But Yiadom has played very well for New Orleans, in my opinion, and he's one of the reasons why I feel like if the Saints were to move on from Marshawn Lattimore, they would still be okay in the secondary because you've got Alontae Taylor and Paulson Adebo, and I think Yiadom can step in and help you in the secondary, which he's done in his time in black and gold. If he does move on, it just, in my opinion, makes moving Marshawn Lattimore a little bit more dicey, depending on what you get back for him. It was really cornerback and nickel, secondary, really the only spot the Saints really had depth where they could move some pieces around and still have a sustainable front. I mean, if Ryan Ramczyk and Andrus Pete don't come back, which doesn't appear Pete is, and Ramczyk it looks like is, but they don't, like, you're real thin at offensive line. Like, your running back room is not super deep. You've got an aging Kamara, Kendre Miller, who hadn't given you much. Like, I don't feel awesome about that. Wide receiver, you've got to go draft one. You don't have a lot of depth there. You just added at linebacker with Willie Gay, but before that, like, you were real thin there. I don't know that the defensive front is overly deep. Like, secondary is really the only place that you felt like you had a little bit of leverage to go make a move and get some assets back. And Yadam's a big piece of that to me. And I think he's a starter caliber player on the lower end. He's not Marshawn Lattimore. I'm not trying to suggest that he is. But he has played for you and played, I believe, nicely. And if he moves on and goes to Washington because they can spend a little bit more on him, all of a sudden your numbers, they don't get tight at corner, but they get tighter. And it makes it more difficult to move on from Marshawn Lattimore, which is something I think the Saints should explore because I'm all about the Saints getting cheaper and younger. Of course, the Saints are all about the Saints trying to get better for this year. And while that sounds good on its face, at times comes with some issues that we've discussed. So I'm interested to see what comes from this Isaac Yadam free agency situation because, look, when you look at the contract situations for the Saints, potentially you could move on from Lattimore. Adebo is entering the final year of his contract. You're getting towards the back end of the rookie deal for Alontae Taylor. So it is a stable spot, but you've got to kind of keep it that way. Whether that's extending Adebo, whether that's extending Taylor, whether that's determining just to push forward with this group intact. We'll see, but I think that's a very, very interesting piece of this Saints offseason. The other news of the day for the New Orleans Saints is James Hurst being brought back at what essentially boils down to a pay cut with the New Orleans Saints. Hurst was really a big help at tackle early in his time in New Orleans. They moved him down to guard last year and put Pete at tackle, and the level of performance wasn't quite there. But this is a guy that the Saints have trusted to play multiple positions on the offensive line. He's a veteran at this point, and he's now dropped his salary down to the veteran minimum. His base salary was going to be $3 million. It's now been reduced to the league minimum of $1.21. He gave up some bonuses, which lowered his cap hit down to $2.97 million from its initial number of $6.5. This is not getting younger. It is getting a little bit cheaper. And I don't know exactly what the conversations were between Hurst and his representation and the Saints and kind of how this came about, but it feels like Hurst was looking for some real job security, and the Saints offered that even if it was at a reduced salary. So I'm okay with it. Getting cheaper, good with me. There was a time, and my journey with the Saints salary cap has been a winding one as we've kind of learned a little bit more about this. It started me saying, this is ridiculous, always being over the cap. Like, this is a bad way to run your franchise. And then I realized, no, you know what? It's a really good way to do things because you've got a really good team. And if you can add to it and then just figure out the money down the road, go win the freaking Super Bowl, which they could have done. And now I've moved off of that as like, please get out of this garbage situation that you're in with a middling football team that has trouble adding to it because there's not enough funds available. When you're trying to fill one hole, screw the cap up all you want. When you're trying to fill six without a lot of room with the salary cap, that's how Isaac Yadam gets away. So I think this is a good thing for the Saints to have Hurst take less money, bring some depth to that offensive line, and they've got to figure that out. They've got two new voices in that room for the offensive line. They've moved on from Doug Marrone. They've got some talented guys that have either played in the NFL for a very long time or have been very, very high draft picks or both. They've got to find a way to be more productive on the offensive front. I don't think James Hurst can't play at all. Am I married to him being the left tackle? I'm not. So they got to figure something out here, but this adds a little bit of depth at a very inexpensive price tag. I am for that at this point. Anytime I see those numbers coming down, sign me up. I'm just fine with it. So news of the Saints day, Isaac Yadam looking at other places, including Washington. James Hurst coming back at the league minimum, taking a bit of a pay cut there across the offensive line. If you're looking for our Saints content, you can find it on YouTube at Hunt on Saints. That's Hunt on Saints. All your black and gold news all year round. And you can catch it if you subscribe to it right there on your homepage. And we'll get our content in front of as many eyeballs as possible, which we appreciate and very much enjoy. We'll switch the conversation back to baseball here. Chris Demui will chat with us about LSU and Mississippi State right here on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
ESPN Bet now live in Louisiana. It's the official sportsbook of ESPN. ESPN Bet's the only place to find daily exclusives and offers with your favorite ESPN personalities and shows. You can sign up today. New users get $100 in bonus bets for making any sportsbook bet. Find all your favorite markets and bets like in-game wagering, cross-sport parlays, teasers, and all the props you can handle. That's ESPN Bet. You can download today. It's conference tournament time. What a play. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance.
So join us for Friday's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Final thoughts as LSU gets set to face Mississippi State in baseball to start SEC play. We'll talk some football as well. It's Friday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
I'm sitting here in studio. We got Mississippi State and Tennessee on one TV, and Mississippi State is up 20 on the Vols with 10 minutes or so to go in that game. It's been a defensive clinic by Chris Jans and company. On the second TV, it's SEC Network, and we've got the LSU women and South Carolina women replay. And the fight just happened, and I'm curious on the replay from SEC Network. How long are they going to watch this review? Because it took like 25 minutes.
It literally took 20 minutes.
Well, how long are they going to have it on the replay? Can't you just cut this out?
Aren't they going to have the we are now moving forward for your viewing consideration.
And I don't think that the league, as more people would actually like to watch the altercation, I think, than some of the game. But if you're the SEC, like, you want the focus to be on the game, and I would think that you would cut this out. But they're still rolling with it. And there goes Camila Cardozo, just decking Flaugier. There you go. All right. Let's go out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Chris Demouy, former Tiger national champ, joins us every Friday talking some baseball. And it is time for some SEC baseball. Chris, you ready?
Yeah, man. This is rubber meets the road, right? This is what those guys live for. So all you got to do is focus on your conference opponents, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You know, a lot of good teams out there, obviously.
Tough to boil down a month into just a thought or two, but are they where they need to be entering conference play?
Maybe yes and no. I think pitching wise, I think they are. I still think you got a lot of options. You know, guys are going to be up and down in the bullpen. That's just kind of the nature of the bullpen. But I'm sure Jay would probably like to have a little bit more of a solidified lineup, or at least he knows maybe not as many guys scuffling per se. You know, when I think of Pearson and Kling and Braswell and Bingham at times, and White still hasn't. I don't think he's really gotten going yet. So he may like to have things maybe a little more consistent on the hitting front. But all in all, I mean, I'm sitting here talking about this. They're still a top 5 team. So it's I think we just got spoiled from last year, you know.
Yeah, that was pretty fun to watch from a pitching, hitting perspective. But the pitching was a little bumpy at times there. So it's just kind of part of a team coming together. Where's your concern on this offense? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being freaking out, 0 being I'm fine.
3.5.
Okay, that's low.
You know, I mean, I'm not totally freaking out, but I mean, I just don't think you can't say it's not concerning. You know, I just think they have trouble stringing innings together. Sometimes they'll jump out to a 3 or 4 nothing lead, and you don't hear anything from them from 4 innings. You know, I always try to put myself as think back when I was pitching, and when I look at their lineup at LSU, you know, would I be really scared of it? And I don't know. You know, some guys I don't know. They just don't have as an opposing pitcher, I don't know if I'm scared of certain guys in that lineup. But it's not total freak-out mode. I just think, like we've said all year, and like I thought coming into the season, it's going to be a scuffle at times, you know, and they're going to have to produce runs different ways. And with the pitching going the way it is, you're fine winning games 5-1 or 6-1. I just worry, you know, can you beat somebody 10-8 if you need to on a Sunday, or say something happens with one of your starters, and I just don't know if they're there yet in terms of all the way through the lineup, you know?
How do you think Tommy White feels right now? 5 extra base hits in a month.
Well, I hope he's not pressing. You know, it's one of those things. I was thinking about him this weekend, and I'm like Kling as well. You know, it was nice to see Jay drop him down in the lineup sometimes I think he's too passive at the top of the order. But I think with White, I just hope obviously he's an amazing hitter, and he's going to be a high draft pick. I just hope he doesn't try to prove stuff to people in terms of doing too much, right? Just trying to put the whole team on his back, and he just kind of maybe still lets the game come to him. One thing I noticed a couple weeks ago, and I'm still kind of noticing, is like I think teams are still trying to bust him in more than I saw last year, and it feels like last year he used the whole field a little more, and I don't know if I've necessarily saw that out of him this year. Now, look, I haven't seen every AB, but the times I've watched him, you know, it just doesn't look right. But I just hope he doesn't press. That's my biggest concern with him, because we all know he can hit. It's just a matter of just being patient and kind of letting the game come to you.
Jared Jones still hitting for that power, and he's cut down the strikeouts a little bit in non-conference play, but he did that last year. Where's your confidence level that he can maintain this as the pitching level ramps up a bit?
Yeah, I think he can. You know, I remember we talked about it maybe before they went to Houston, and he did a good job of laying off a bunch of sliders. That was kind of his bugaboo, if you will, last year. And then he went into like a little 2-week thing where I felt like he was back to what he did his freshman year, swinging sliders low and away outside the zone. But then it's like he's kind of, you know, reined it back in, right? He's kind of dialed it back in to where he's being a lot more patient. So I think that's the biggest thing is, if he can, it's tough for me to say, right, just lay off sliders. That's easy for all of us to say when they're throwing 87-mile-per-hour sliders, right? But if he can do that, and then he gets himself in plus counts, and he's got so much power, and you've seen it this year to all fields, you know, he's a real force wherever they want to put him in that lineup. And I like when they put him like in the 6th hole, you know, put him down in the lineup to where, you know, guys can get on base ahead of him if for some reason you go 3 up, 3 down in the first, or you're in the middle innings. So I'm confident in him with his new approach. I guess we'll just have to take it and see as he moves on to better quality pitching.
You like Kling down in the lineup? You like Jones down in the lineup? Who do you want in front of White and Travinski?
I like Neal. I don't know. For some reason, I don't know. I can't remember how many times Brady Neal's hit second, but I really kind of like him in that 2-hole. Or I guess maybe after White. To me, I was talking to some buddies the other day. I think a lot of people forgot about Neal, right? He got hurt halfway through the season, and then he was just kind of like you never heard from him again, dealing with the back issue. But to me, he's been really solid, having good at bats. He's got power. We all know that. But if White and Travinski kind of struggle, they're up and down, maybe not as consistent. I think Neal's somebody that you can count on from the left side. He's got power. He can kind of spray it around. But I like having Neal in the 2-hole potentially, What
does your gut say about Luke Holman tonight as the competition tilts to SEC play?
I'm completely fine with it. I have a ton of confidence in him. He started for Alabama last year. This is not new to him. Starting on Friday nights is not new to him. It'll be interesting to see Gage Jump's first foray into the SEC, at a stadium that seats 14,000 if they play tonight. Mississippi State's, when you look at them, they really kind of mirror LSU in a lot of ways. They've had some weird losses this year, but and some guys who I thought would hit for that team this year really haven't. But it'll be interesting to see Gage Jump's first foray into the SEC baseball. But in terms of Holman, complete confidence in him, and just I think the biggest thing with him is his ability to pitch. Even though maybe he doesn't feel great that night, he has the ability to hit spots, has a couple different pitches for strikes. And he has a way to kind of figure things out on the mound, even if he doesn't have his A-plus stuff. But a ton of confidence in him going tonight, and hopefully they can get it in.
It looks like they're going to be able to get it in. If they have to bump things back an hour or so, I think it's going to clear out of there eventually. I know almost none of us watch every single pitch, but did you get to see Thatcher Hurd's outing on Sunday of last week?
I did get a chance to watch it, and
let me be a little bit specific there. Like, why, even when he's effective, does it not feel clean or almost efficient? There always seems to be some bumps, even if he can pitch his way out of it.
Yeah, I agree. It's you feel kind of bad for him because he's got great stuff, and you saw what he did last year. It feels like sometimes he's his own worst enemy, right? If somebody a bad pickoff throw, or he mishandles a bunt, or he, walks a guy hitting 196, then he leaves a fastball up, and all of a sudden it's second, third, nobody out, right? So, but the good thing is he had the ability to get out of those innings with a bunch of strikeouts.
Yep.
And to me, I saw more of his curveball because he throws a curveball and a slider. I saw more of his curveball last week, which is nice because it gives the hitter a different view, right? His slider's hard, but it stays on plane sometimes. So that even though if you're not a great hitter and you have a flat bat path, you can still hit that. I still think the key to him is pushing his fastball down in the zone. And I like the curveball, though, but you're right. It just feels like he doesn't have a lot of clean innings. And for whatever reason that is, some guys are just like that. They're kind of constantly in trouble or their own worst enemy, or he gets 2 outs and then somebody kicks the ball and then he gets a blue pit and you're like, golly, it's second and third again. And he was almost out of it. It seems like he just kind of lives that way. That's just how he throws, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It is interesting, though.
Chatting with Chris Demouy, former Tiger national champion. We chat with him every Friday talking LSU baseball. Kate Anderson was pulled after 30-plus pitches on Tuesday, and we all Jay said it's because they want to have him available on the weekend. What kind of role do you see for the freshman left-hander?
Yeah, it's something that you and I have been talking about for a little while, and it kind of came to fruition. Probably not a surprise to a lot of people out there. I think you could see him on a Sunday, first in after Hurd if he gets in trouble. I don't know if you'll necessarily see Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I don't know if you necessarily see him tonight and behind Holman. That may be more of an Ackenhausen thing, but you know how Jay kind of likes to switch it up, right? If he starts a righty, he likes to go to lefty right out the bullpen, which I kind of like. But I think he's going to be middle to long. So I would assume he's going to be first in relief of Hurd. I have no idea, but that's just kind of where he fits, to where he has the ability to get out of a jam if needed, or say Thatcher has a rough one and he throws, 3 2/3, you could see Kate Anderson give you 3, right, to bridge you to whatever the end of the bullpen looks like on a Sunday. So I think that's going to be his role, probably middle to long relief after one of the righties, but I would imagine on Sunday.
I kind of am with you there. I asked this to Buzzy back on Monday because you all are former players and have been there. as I look at this, I say you really need to win 2 or 3 games this weekend because the 4 weeks after that are really, really difficult. Do the players have any idea that the next 4 weeks are really difficult, or they just are excited to go out there and play?
Yeah, I heard you talk to Buzzy about that. And look, I know I was listening to that interview, and I totally disagree with Buzzy. Heck yeah. I almost said something else. Heck yeah. They definitely, listen, they know who they're playing. They know it's SEC. I mean, I would love to play in Duty Noble right now with the revamp, and they know who's coming in after State, right? They know it's murderous road, but that's the SEC, and they live for that stuff. That's why you come to this school. So it's not like just another game. Like, they get it. They're going to be amped up. You know, they're going to want to play on the road in front of a hostile environment and vice versa. You know, they got Florida coming to town. They're going to be pumped for that. So, I mean, we were pumped. We knew who we were playing. We knew what they were ranked, and that was before all the social media stuff. You know, these guys have film on everybody. They know who's pitching. They know everything. They have access to everything now. So I disagree. I'm not going to play political and like, oh, it's just another game. They get it, and that's what makes it exciting. And that's what makes it so fun. So, yeah, it's going to be a great environment. And as a fan, you know, this is nice. You know, to look at the slate of SEC games this weekend, they got a lot of good series. So this is where it gets really fun.
No doubt about it. Enjoy the baseball this weekend. We'll talk next week. Thanks, man.
Thank you. All right, Hunt.
He's Chris Demouy, former Tiger pitcher. Join us every Friday here. Our Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll come back and close out hour number 1, talking about a little party coming up next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Can be a full-scale closet or bathroom renovation. They're a licensed contractor. They'll be the only call that you make. You don't have to call 4 different people to get your bathroom looking fresh and new and functional. Nope, just one. David Duvall and his team. That's it. Or they could do something simple, like a tub-to-shower conversion that changes the functionality and the aesthetic of your bathroom. You won't know what they can do for you unless you go get that free consultation. You can find it online at OneBathAndClosets.com. Scroll through, see the testimonials, pictures of their great work, and get that free consultation. If you're a little bit nervous about paying for things, David Duvall and his team, they've got financing options available. It's One Bath and Closet. You can check them out online at OneBathAndClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $7,500 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. $7,500 off plus 1.9% financing for 72 months. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps. Your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
On Monday's OTB, recapping St. Patty's Day weekend. Did the Tigers get it done in the Dude? Where will LSU women's basketball be heading? The latest from spring football and NFL free agency, and weekend winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Many Baton Rouge natives would suggest St. Patty's Day the best day of the year in the capital city. A guy who's got Baton Rouge in his blood. The owner and operator of Uncle Earl's, a good friend of mine, Jordan Piazza, joins us now to wrap up hour number 1. Jordan, how we doing?
Great, hon. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Doing better tomorrow because we got Earl-a-Palooza. Tell us about the lineup tomorrow for the St. Patrick's Day after party.
Yeah, man, we're excited. It's going to start off with a DJ in-house, DJ Atomic, and then it's going to start with Flow Tribe from New Orleans. Great band, love them. Had them at my wedding. They'll be starting off the outside at about 1 o'clock, and then followed by 2 live crew and DJ Matty Fresh out of New Orleans. Then you've got Dominique and which is T.I.'s son, and PSC, which is some more of T.I.'s folks, and then headline the event is none other than T.I. himself.
It's incredible. Set the scene for us. What have y'all got set up out there just outside of Uncle Earl's?
Yeah, man, the back parking lot, obviously inside we'll have the DJ and its own kind of entertainment going on. But in the back parking lot, we've got, we've got a big stage in the back and, a bunch of VIP sections and about 20 bars set up back there. So it's just a big parking lot concert all back.
20 bars. That'll get it done. So it starts up just after the parade ends, right there on Perkins at Uncle Earl's. Tell everybody where they can get tickets for this incredible lineup.
Yeah, they go to our website, UncleEarls.com, or they can go directly to UncleEarls.eventbrite.com and buy them there, or buy them at the gate tomorrow as well. But they are going to be more expensive at the door, obviously.
That is awesome. How did this come together? Like, tell me about the process. How long it takes to set up a lineup that's this awesome for St. Patty's Day?
Yeah, man. It takes a few months. We started back in October and started. Kind of getting names and ideas and putting feelers out there to see who might be available and trying to figure out, who best fits the demographic that goes to the parade, which is not our typical demographic at the bar every night. It's a lot bigger, obviously, of a crowd. So, we start planning then, and then as January rolls around after the holiday season, we really start lining up the logistics of, if we're, how big we're going to make the event, and, how the, tickets are going to sell. And kind of start planning on what we're going to serve, who we're going to have, and the whole 9 yards.
Man, try to get some sleep tonight because I know there won't be very much tomorrow night. Y'all have an awesome time, and congrats on an awesome lineup. Happy St. Patrick's Day, and we'll see you out there, man.
Say that again. I'm sorry, you cut out.
It's all good. No, just get some sleep tonight because I'm sure there won't be much tomorrow. We appreciate some time, and we'll see you out at Uncle Earl's tomorrow.
Thank you, brother. Look forward to you. See you then.
He's Jordan Piazza, owner and operator of Uncle Earl's Earl-a-Palooza 2024. They got just an incredible lineup. DJ Digital, Manny Fresh, 2 live crew, Dominique, PSC, and the nightcap will be T.I. right there on Perkins. So if you're headed out to the parade tomorrow, right there on Perkins where it finishes, just walk right over to Uncle Earl's. He said they got 20 bars lined up. If you want your tickets online, which are cheaper than at the door, UncleEarls.com is where you can find them. I'm at UncleEarls.com right now on the website. It pops up right there. You can't miss it. It says get your tickets right there. It is the after party for St. Patrick's Day here. And it's just funny. There's a bunch of people on the sales floor ranging from like 25 to like 50 that were so fired up for this lineup for different reasons. You got some that are fired up for T.I. because it was like our college anthem. And then you got those that are closer to 40 years old. They're like, 2 live crew. I'm not going to miss that. It's going to be an incredible afternoon and evening and into the night over at Earlapalooza on Perkins. So get your tickets at UncleEarls.com. We appreciate Jordan for making some time for us. Tennessee's trying to make this one a dogfight. They're making a dogfight, that's another bad pun with Mississippi State on the floor, but they've cut the lead to 12 with 5 minutes to go. Mississippi State has absolutely controlled this game from the start. It built the lead up to 20, and Tennessee has been awful the entire way, but that's a veteran team. That's something I've said all year long. They're old and they're good, and they've got Connect, and they've got Ziegler, and they've got Vescovi, and they got guys that can score, and they play good defense as well. Mississippi State has put a defensive clinic on. They've held, to this point, with 5 minutes to go in the game, Tennessee to 48 points. But Mississippi State also doesn't score it all that great at times. They've only got 60 to this point. So it's a 12-point game. We'll keep you updated on how that one goes in Nashville. If you're looking for what LSU's implications are, LSU, after yesterday, is one spot behind Ole Miss in the net. So what that means for the NIT for LSU, basically, if A&M and Ole Miss miss, then those will be the host. If A&M wins today, they're probably in the tournament right now, but if they win today against Kentucky, they are in the tournament, and LSU and Ole Miss are going to host an NIT game. That's the way it looks like right now. Right now, if you had to make me bet, I would suggest that LSU is going to host an NIT game. That's different than I said 24 hours ago because it feels like A&M has a real chance to get in the NCAA tournament. And LSU and Ole Miss's net, very, very close. So we'll see what kind of moves can be made while they don't play. You just never know with strength of schedule and all that kind of stuff. But we'll keep you updated on all the goings-on over the next hour. We got 1 hour left to go. Shout out to the folks at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp, looking for a Lenten lunch or some dinner for the night or some food to bring out to the St. Patrick's Day route. Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on Government can help you out. We'll pause for Sports Center. When we come back on the other side, we'll have Wilson Alexander talking about the new arena at LSU. Come back with us on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Rams defensive lineman Aaron Donald announces his retirement on social media today. Donald played 10 years with the Rams after he was taken with the 13th overall pick in 2014. The Vikings now have 2 first-round picks in the upcoming draft. They make a trade today with the Texans to get the 23rd overall pick. ESPN's Dan Graziano.
The Vikings now have 2 first-round picks, and they're picking, 11 and now 23. So if you're a team that's trying to move up in the first round of the draft for a quarterback, having 2 first-round picks is a very helpful thing. I think I would be watching the Vikings for further moves.
Dan Graziano on Greeny. As part of that deal, Houston gets a second-round pick this year and another one next year. Michigan fires basketball coach Juwan Howard after 5 years on the job. The Wolverines ended this season 8-24, last in the Big Ten for the first time since 1967. Second round of the Players' Championship, Wyndham Clark, the leader, at 14 under par.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Caney. Before you fill out your brackets, make sure you tune into the Tournament Challenge Marathon for all of the info you need right here on Unsportsmanlike. Weekday mornings, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Preston Guy talking football in about 15 minutes. We'll talk some LSU football, specifically about some rising sophomores and how important this spring is for guys like Deshaun Womack, Caleb Jackson, Whit Weeks, and the like. Those of you that listen to the show know that I'm very, very comfortable talking about who should start on Sunday versus Saturday. I'm good talking about run defense and what a good shot is at the end of the shot clock. I'm really not comfortable in courtrooms, police press conferences, city council meetings. That's not where my bread is buttered. But thankfully, some people are good at that. Wilson Alexander is one of them. He covers LSU football for The Advocate, but was at the Baton Rouge Metro Council meeting earlier this week when they discussed the new arena that is to be built on LSU's campus. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Wilson, happy Friday. How are you?
Good. Well, I tell you, it's not necessarily a comfortable thing for me either in the courtroom. I much prefer going to the stadium, but, sometimes sports things happen in venues like we just aren't used to. So that was my first time at a Metro Council meeting, but it was certainly an eventful one.
Absolutely. Duty calls. So tell us what your takeaway was from that meeting. They obviously had the vote. The vote passed 10-1, but what is the result of what we saw earlier this week?
Well, LSU and Tiger Athletic Foundation can now move forward with building a new arena. That's the main thing here. There was some pushback from certain council members and others who, spoke on, just citizens who spoke and delivered public comment about concerns about how this might affect downtown long term. while LSU has a lot of plans already kind of in motion now for getting this new arena off the ground and built within about 5 years is their ideal timeline here. What might happen with the River Center and maybe Memorial Stadium too, and kind of how this is being presented as a sort of cohesive project. Those plans for those buildings aren't nearly as far along. And so there's certainly some concern about what it's going to do for those spaces long term. There's going to certainly execution on all fronts now is going to be needed to actually make this happen as it is envisioned. Because, the leaders on the arena side of things say that this can be something that really lifts all of Baton Rouge as an area. And now that this has gone through, they're going to have to execute on that. And on the LSU side of things, they're now going to choose between two semifinalists to be the developer for this project. And that should be something that kind of comes to light and gets figured out in the next few months, so maybe by the late summer.
So as far as the city and LSU cooperating here, I think all of us who are sports fans like, great, they build a new arena. There goes the two basketball teams, gymnastics and volleyball, they play in there. But like as far as concerts and events that may come, does the city and LSU have to like share ownership here? Like how does that work? I have no idea.
So that's going to be on the developer. The developer is ponying up all the money for this. What is expected to be a $350 to $400 million arena, and in exchange for paying that cost to construct the building, they have ownership of the building and rights to the revenue that comes from anything that is not LSU sports related. So whatever concerts they're able to bring now to Baton Rouge, which is obviously another big piece of this, is it actually maybe being able to revive that sort of concert scene that's really faded away over the years. They would benefit from that financially in order to pay, over time, recoup the losses that they would have put in for a new arena, and then hopefully for them start to make a profit over time. So the money that the city would be seeing, as I understand it, would be more so from people coming into Baton Rouge to then go to these concerts and that kind of thing, but they would not directly receive those funds.
Understood. Is there a comp to this? I know this is outside of Baton Rouge and maybe not something that you're familiar with, but I think this is kind of what happened with Texas in Austin with the new arena that they built. I've seen pictures of it and it's gorgeous. Is that kind of where they're headed with this?
Absolutely. In April of 2023, a bunch of LSU officials and people who are now involved in this project actually went to Austin, Texas to visit the Moody Center. They wanted to see what it looked like and understand how it was paid for. And that is the comparison that keeps getting made here. Both not necessarily in terms of exact size, like the Moody Center is, I think, 15,000 at its max. They reduced that to about 10,000 for basketball games. LSU's arena, from what I've been told, would probably be a little bit smaller than that, maybe around 12 to 13,000 maximum capacity. And then they could actually knock that down a little bit for basketball games and gymnastic meets and whatever else is held there in sports-wise. But it's still the comparison in a lot of ways. They want, especially for the way it's paid for, with the developer covering the cost in exchange for the rights, like we talked about already. And that is certainly what LSU has kind of continually seen. That Moody Center is at the forefront in a lot of ways of the funding aspect, with the developer paying for it and then getting the rights and the revenue from those non-sports events, as well as just what they actually constructed. There's a lot of premium seating and suites and things like that neither the River Center or the PMAC have currently.
Yeah, it's music to my ears in terms of the number. If we're just talking about basketball and the environment, which is all that I really know anything about, I love the fact that trimming it down closer to 10,000 than where it is right now, or than 15,000, like you said, for Texas. So that's awesome. Do they have any sort of idea of where? Well, I'm sure they have an idea of where this may go on campus.
We know one place it won't go. At least we know it won't. It's not going to go in the place of the track. LSU at one time considered moving the track and building this arena right next to the PMAC. That's not going to happen. That proved to be cost prohibitive. I was told it would cost $96 million to move the track, and they didn't want to do that. It's also not going to just completely replace the PMAC, so it's not going to take that spot. Okay. I've heard that the golf course, the old golf, is a possibility. There's some other space, but it is kind of going to be ultimately up to the developer exactly where this goes. That's something that LSU has maintained here. Is I think there's prospective sites kind of in that area, but it's going to kind of, again, be up to the developer where exactly this lands. And LSU will have a say in this, I think, because, it is LSU land. But the developer is going to have to be able to make part of that decision as well.
Wilson Alexander, LSU beat reporter for The Advocate, talking about the vote that approved LSU moving forward with a new arena. What's to come of the old PMAC, the current PMAC, I guess?
Well, that's the thing. It's still going to undergo some renovations, but Kelly Zinn, LSU's executive deputy AD, said that it would be at a much lesser cost. It would have cost, LSU said, over $200 million to renovate the PMAC before they then pivoted to this plan with everything that they wanted to do to it. That also would have required moving the track because they wanted to expand the PMAC footprint. When they've then pivoted to building a new arena, the PMAC would still exist. It would still be there, but they would now renovate it again at a lesser cost for office spaces, practice areas, athletic training, strength and conditioning, and almost like how LSU, the football team has football ops and then plays in Tiger Stadium. That's kind of how they're presenting this, is that the PMAC would be like the equivalent in some ways, not completely apples to apples, but in some ways like football ops where, practice space, offices, et cetera, and then the actual playing arena is this new one.
So we sit here in March of 2024. LSU's prospective timeline with this, you mentioned a little bit earlier, but what are they looking at here as far as the first tip-off in the new arena?
About 5 years from now. So I can't remember exactly what season that would be, but 5 years and possibly sooner. That's sort of, in some ways, almost a conservative timeline. I think 4 years might even be realistic for this, which I guess would put us at the 2027-28 season. Someone can check my math on that if I'm not doing it correctly off the top of my head. But yeah, basically within 4 to 5 years is what they see as a realistic timeline.
And there's nothing in the way of this now. It is picking the developer, and we're full speed ahead. Am I correct there?
As I understand it, yes. I mean, obviously, with projects like this, hiccups can happen along the way.
Yeah.
And but at this point now, there's nothing in the way from the city, and so LSU can just move forward with this as a normal project. They are down to 2 developers as semifinalists. They're going to now be able to issue a request for proposal from those 2 developers. And then once they get those back, choose a finalist and continue to move forward. There'll have to be board approval at some point. There'll be other things involved now, but it's more so on the LSU side of things, where LSU and TAF can now move forward with this without any sort of resistance from the city, because the city approved, moving forward with this project and restricting the River Center. So, basically full speed ahead, and they intend to move very quickly.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for your time today, Wilson. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon.
You too, Hunt. Thanks for having me.
Wilson Alexander, LSU beat writer for The Advocate. I did learn a lot there. I had no idea this was kind of a money-making plan for the folks that were developing the project. I did not know how that inner workings worked. In my head, it's like every other little facility thing. Hey, call the boosters, see how much money you can raise, and go build it. I guess this is a little bit bigger deal than that. You're talking about a $400 million deal instead of the $80 million it was, whatever, in the practice facility. So it's more complicated than I thought, but it seems like they're on the way.
Yeah, and I knew that renovating the PMAC, or I know that renovations for stadiums like this are not cheap, but the fact that it would have been $200 million just to renovate the PMAC to what they wanted to do, that is crazy how much that is.
And I look, this, as far as getting people in there, one, you have to win. And this town has proven if you win, they'll show up. You win in softball, they're there. You win in gymnastics, they're there. I was on an Easter trip like 4 years ago with some men in their 60s. I'm certain had not watched a gymnastics meet or knew the events in gymnastics 6 years prior. And they were locked in and giving me deductions on the floor routine. I was like, if you win in purple and gold, people will show up. We know that with basketball and baseball and football and all that. But the other thing is you've got to create some amenities. And while the PMAC, to me, is a fine place to go on Saturday afternoon and watch LSU play Vanderbilt in basketball, I have no problem with it. I can get there. Parking's fine. My seat's okay. I can get a beer. There's a hot dog and chicken tender basket right there. I'm pretty low maintenance there. It's fine for me. You've got to have suites. You've got to have a club level. You've got to have a bar area with some big screen TVs. You've got to make people want to come out and see this place, because that's the way people are going. They have a huge TV at home. They've got a full fridge at home. They can park in their garage at home and sit in their recliner at home. And to some people, it's a nuisance to get out and go and see this stuff. And LSU, the PMAC does not have amenities. It has the purple seats and the refrigerators on the concourse with
They have like the
concessions,
courtside club, but you can't watch the game, or you can't have TVs, but you're not on the court or anything.
No, and so they don't have that, and some of the others do. They will sell those suites in 2 seconds to corporations that want to entertain clients and have their seats, and to the boosters that have enough money to make that, and that's a priority to them. They'll sell those out. That'll be a revenue stream, and they need to shrink the capacity a little bit, and I'm all for that. So to me, as just Joe LSU fan who's not spending a cent on this, that it's exciting that they'll have a brand spanking new arena that's got a bunch of amenities in it. Now just keep winning basketball games. That's going to be the key for them. I really appreciate Wilson coming on and kind of shedding some light on all of that with LSU and the city of Baton Rouge. All right, let's talk some football. Preston Guy from TigerBait.com next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com. I was talking about the great home watching experience that a lot of people have. It'll be better if you call the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. They can mount televisions. They actually can supply the television to be mounted. They can bring all the equipment that comes with your home automated sound system and your televisions. And in that case, the warranty is theirs. So they'll handle things as they can potentially happen over the first couple of years after installation. Mitchell Fisher and his team are so great to work with. It's a local company. They're so easy to get in hold of because I've got Mitchell Fisher's phone number right here. He's the owner of the company. It's 225-439-7920, 225-439-7920. Have them come out, look at your home, and see what they can do for you from a television perspective, from an audio perspective, and certainly as far as security systems go. They can handle all of it like they've done for my family at our home. AVSS_BR on Instagram. Check them out online. It's Audio Video Security Solutions at AVSSLA.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
Sandegriff, join us for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch from the Queen Casino, the DraftKings Sportsbook. We're recapping a big weekend in college basketball and baseball, and the bracket is set for the NCAA tournament. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Register now for the $1 Million Bracket Challenge powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light at 1045ESPN.com. First place wins $2,024 cash, and if your bracket is perfect, you will win $1 million in a 3-year lease on a 2024 Acura RDX. It's the $1 Million Bracket Challenge powered by Acura of Baton Rouge and Coors Light.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Was there some Dr. Evil in that $1 million there?
Maybe.
I think I caught a little Dr. Evil there. Once again, you read another promo that I can't win. I would really love to have $1 million.
That would be nice.
I could do some work with that. A guy that has $1 million is Rick Barnes. He's got a couple of those, but he does not have another reservation tonight in a Nashville hotel. Tennessee got smoked by 17 points by Mississippi State. The Bulldogs comfortably in the field of 64, as they were yesterday, but now very much so. And they may have moved themselves up to potentially the 9 or 8 line, which
probably not good for them.
Could be a blessing, could be a curse. You're probably staring down a 1 seed in the second round. And now Tennessee will see if they're a 1 seed after a one and done in the SEC basketball tournament. Next up from Nashville, Auburn and South Carolina, a matchup of the 4 and 5 seeds in the SEC. Let's talk some football. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, joins us every Friday. We bumped him back a little bit, but we got time for him. Preston, how are you?
Hey, Hunt. Thanks for accommodating me today. Appreciate it, man.
All good. Let's talk some football. I teased this a little earlier. I wanted to talk about some rising sophomores this spring that you may have an eye on. The cliche is teams do their best improvement from week 1 to week 2. I would really invest that a lot of guys make their biggest improvement between year 1 and year 2 at the college level. Who are a guy or two that are sophomores to be that you've got your eye on this spring?
Yeah, one guy I'm really interested to see is Shelton Sampson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got so much talent. He's big, long, and just really fast. But last year, you could just tell the difference between him and a polished Brian Thomas. He looks like a young Brian Thomas out there. But you could just see the difference in a, veteran, guy who's been able to add that muscle mass and craft on his routes and stuff like that. You could just see the difference in practice. But that being said, I still think Shelton Sampson is a guy who, if he develops and adds the muscle mass, he could be a big star player. He was highly recruited for a reason. And I find when it comes to star players, this sophomore year is always telling because, guys like Leonard Fournette, they'll come in as true freshmen. They just got there, got to figure things out, and takes them a little while, and they'll get buried for a year, right? They have some moments, but it's nothing crazy. But if that sophomore year doesn't go as expected, you start to question if that talent was really there to begin with, or if it was a misevaluation, if coaches are using them right. It really is kind of telling.
Yeah, I agree. I think you need to kind of break out as a sophomore. Jarvis and Odell absolutely did that. Leonard Fournette was unstoppable as a sophomore. Malik Neighbors had 1,000 yards as a sophomore. Those are just some names off the top of my head there. Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball. Caleb Jackson, do you see a breakout potential in him?
You should. I mean, last year he was just buried. There was 8 backs on the team and so many veteran guys. This year, Josh Williams will be there. I think me and you would both expect Josh Williams is probably your game 1, snap 1 back, right? But you should see Caleb Jackson in the mix pretty early, considering the only other running back that will be on roster is Caden Durham, who's a true freshman as well. Now, he's a talented true freshman. He's the kind of guy I really could see coming in and competing for reps. But I think we all saw the talent that Caleb Jackson was just oozing with last year, right? Just got buried. I would say from Caleb Jackson's perspective, if he's not the leading rusher a year from now, that would be a disappointment from on his end, I would say.
I would agree with that for sure. A guy that I haven't talked a lot about, but got some recognition when he flipped to LSU right there at the end and was not really a factor at all this past year's Kamorian Pimpton. It's kind of a logjam there where it was barren when Brian Kelly got here at tight end, but do you think Pimpkin has a chance to kind of break through and make some plays?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think Mason Taylor's got that number one tight end spot on lockdown, and if we're being frank, last year, that offense with Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors, there was barely enough reps to get Mason Taylor involved, much less backup players. And if the backups were to get involved, it would be used as blockers at that point. So next year, you talk about a logjam, man. I mean, you still got Matt Markway on campus who, very talented player, probably a better blocker than Kamorian Pimpton was. But you're also bringing in the five-star true freshman, Tradez Green. And as good as Kamorian Pimpton was as a receiver coming out of high school, Tradez Green is better as a receiver. So you're really going to have a fight. Like it should be like an all-out brawl. Like what Dan Campbell said with the Lions, we're going to be biting for kneecap. That's what your backup tight end battle is going to look like. Like these guys are all really close in talent and development. It should be interesting. I'll say this about Kamorian Pimpton. If he doesn't go out there and get 20 grabs next year, that doesn't necessarily mean he's not a good player because of what they've got at that spot.
You mentioned Dan Campbell, former tight end himself. Dan Campbell in the NFL for a long time. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. It was a common refrain last year around October or so. Just get Weeks in there. Let Weeks play. They're going to let Weeks play, I would imagine, this year. How big an impact and how big a jump can he make to help the defense?
Yeah, I don't see any way you keep him off the field 2 years in a row. He's just so good, and he's an instinctive player. That being said, I don't think any of the linebackers necessarily played with good pursuit angles or tackling last year. So really hoping Blake Baker can get in there, work on those fundamentals. Remember the work he did with Damone Clark here at LSU. It was phenomenal. He turned him into one of the best linebackers in country, if not the best. So really, I mean, everybody first eye is going to go to Harold Perkins in the middle, right? And really hoping that he does magic with him. Don't overlook Whit Weeks. I don't see a way he's off the field like he was last year.
Very, very unenviable position for Ashton Stamps and Javian Toviano last year to come in, true freshman, hey, go cover everybody because the older guys are either hurt or suspended or aren't good enough. And they got beat a lot last year. Do you expect those two guys to play big roles in the secondary this year?
Yeah, for them, it's a little bit of a different conversation. We talk about guys like Caleb Jackson who didn't get the spotlight last year because he was buried. Well, those guys had every opportunity to. I mean, if anybody in that defensive backfield who was available, if they were playing good SEC football, would have had a chance to lock up a starting position because nobody really was. That being said, you bring in a couple transfers in the defensive backfield, and you bring in, Zy Alexander's going to be back. So I doubt those are your guys who are going to get the first at bat. I'm interested to see does Toviano truly stick at cornerback for all of spring and all of fall, or are they going to bounce him around? Because there was some talk about him playing safety, and I think you might even argue that safety, I mean, you can get on the field at nickelback or safety, probably easiest at this point for LSU. So we'll have to see with those two guys. I tell you what, freshmen a lot of times come in and struggle, so I'm not willing to just sit here and give up on them, but they've got every opportunity to go out there and shine and show what's up. I mean, you got to also think about guys like J.K. Johnson, who was hurt all last year, and coaches are talking a lot about what he's doing this spring.
So, it's early in spring, and they took spring break this week, so just kind of not a ton of buzz. But over at Tiger Bait, you and Mike and Buddy and the folks, like, is there any early buzz on anybody that y'all have heard?
In the sophomore class specifically?
Just anybody as far as this conversation goes.
Oh, man. Well, I just touched on one, the J.K. Johnson here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think just open-ended here. I've got my eyes on Chris Hilton in a big way.
Yeah.
You saw fall camp a year ago. That connection with Nussmeier was really something special. Man, buzz.
It's not a happening time this week because they've been out. They haven't
I
practiced.
know they've been
an
out for
entire
a week now. Yeah, you hit me with a big open-ended question.
Yeah.
PJ Woodland. Okay, PJ Woodland is actually one that's really turning some heads out there, more so than expected. He wasn't a highly recruited guy, although he was the defensive player of the state of Mississippi last year. Very slender, small guy. He probably came in at 170 or so. But he's a guy they're really liking out there, so keep an eye out for P.J. Woodland maybe being a surprise player.
Maybe a little more meat on the bone next week after we watch him practice a couple times out on the Ponderosa from spring break. Preston, have a great weekend. Thanks, man.
All right, Hunt. See you then.
Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp brings you our Friday shows. Get on by, see the menu on the website, corksfishandshrimp.com. Delicious, crispy fried catfish, fantastic jumbo Gulf shrimp, crinkle cut, not crinkle cut, they had crinkle cut. They switched to the shoestring fries that are awesome. That batter is born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana, and it is fantastic. They'll put the crispy fried catfish on top of the crawfish etouffee. They'll put those jumbo Gulf shrimp on top of their loaded baked potatoes. It's really, really good stuff. If you're one of those folks that says, look, I'm from South Louisiana, I'm just not going through a drive-through for my seafood, I promise, just go once. It is a different experience over there at Cork's. The same folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue across the river in Port Allen, just over a year old now, over on Government Street, and things are fantastic over there. So it's a Lenten Friday, looking for something for dinner tonight, swing on through and get some Cork's. It is some good stuff, and they bring you our Friday shows each and every day. Each and every week is what I should say. Come back, get you set up for the SEC weekend in baseball. A little look ahead to LSU and Mississippi State tonight, and then we'll get on down the road. It is a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
So join us for Friday's AFR presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Final thoughts as LSU gets set to face Mississippi State in baseball to start SEC play. We'll talk some football as well. It's Friday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
We are coming down the home stretch for the inaugural season of the Baton Rouge Zydeco. Now through March 31st, when the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge team is out at Rouse's on Florida or Burbank, stop by and spin the prize wheel for your chance to win tickets to see the Zydeco in person at the River Center. For more information and to purchase single game tickets, visit brprohockey.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
LSU and Mississippi State set to get their 3-game series underway. Let's see how my math is. In 3.5 hours at 6 o'clock tonight from Dudy Noble Field in Starkville. No word at this point that they have moved the start of that game. So looks like all the anticipation is that LSU and Mississippi State will get started on time. I did want to briefly look around the league. I'm not going to break down every SEC baseball matchup. I don't think that's what you're locked into on a Friday. But I do think that people are now starting to be willing to wade a little deeper into SEC baseball as we crank things up this weekend. I think the series of the weekend for me, in terms of like, okay, who are you, is Texas A&M at Florida. We know right now that Texas A&M is undefeated. They have not lost a game. Their pitching numbers are off the charts good. It's a team that really struggled to pitch last year. Nate Yeskie was there. He moves to LSU. They bring in a new pitching coach, and they've really looked good pitching the baseball. Ryan Prager is going to start for them tonight at Florida. He is not allowed to run this year. He and Luke Holman sporting 0.00 ERAs. And he'll be opposed by Cade Fisher, who took the traditional route of the new Friday night starter for Florida. Last year, he was a guy that they used out of the bullpen a lot. He started some midweek games, started an SEC tournament game. He was a left-hander, freshman, really good strikeout numbers. And, okay, that's the next real big talent that once they move on from Hurston Waldrop and that crew, we'll toss him into the mix and he'll be the next starter. His numbers are bad. He's given up a lot of home runs. His ERA is over 7.5. He just hasn't pitched it well at all. Liam Peterson is pitching second for Florida, and his ERA is over 5. He's a true freshman, so you don't expect him to come in and dominate, but he was mentioned as potentially being the best freshman in college baseball, and at times has looked like that. At times has gotten hit hard. Jack Caglianone's still pitching third for them, and he's pitching third for them, I think, because they want him to have the energy to pitch on Friday, to hit and play first on Friday, hit and play first on Saturday, and then pitch and expend all of the rest of his energy on Sunday. I don't think you want Jack Caglianone throwing 7 innings on Friday, and then not being able to play defense on Saturday or Sunday, and you just kind of compromise the whole thing. I don't think he's going to move. He could, but he's not set up to at this point. This is a prove-it deal for Texas A&M. If they go to Florida, knock them around, take 2 out of 3 or sweep, I'll take them more seriously than I am now. And right now I'm taking them seriously. They're a a good baseball team. I don't know if their pitching is as good as their numbers suggest. And Florida, for their flaws in the pitching department, is still hitting a ton of home runs and can certainly do that in Gainesville. A&M can also hit home runs. Jace Lavalette is an all-conference level player. Braden Montgomery is probably the best transfer into the league. This is the highlight of the weekend for me, outside of LSU and Mississippi State, obviously. Texas A&M at Florida, I think, is very, very interesting. The other one for me is Tennessee at Alabama. Alabama's off to a very good start. They are hitting the cover off the baseball, and that's without Colby Shelton, who moved on to Florida, who is hitting a bunch of home runs for them now. He was a freshman all-conference player for Alabama last year. He's moved on. Luke Holman's moved on, but Alabama's still winning some games. I don't think they're very good. We'll see. They're hosting Tennessee, who I do think is good. Now, Tennessee's got a TBA on the back end of their starting rotation, but they'll start A.J. Causey tonight, who's been electric thus far for them, and they'll start Drew Beam, who's been there for now 2.5 years, on Saturday. If Alabama does a really good job and beats Tennessee, I'll take them a little more seriously. I'm already taking Tennessee seriously. You probably heard this at the top of the show. I think Tennessee is very, very good. So I'm curious to see how that one goes in Tuscaloosa. The other one that I talked yesterday with Joe Healy about, and he's part of the SEC Extra team on D1 Baseball, is South Carolina at Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is very good. They have lost faith in TJ Quinn, who was their Friday guy coming in. He didn't pitch last weekend in a starting capacity. He's not listed as a starter here. So that's already a red flag if you've got a guy that you expect to be the Friday night guy and he's all of a sudden gone. Like, that's not a good start. And clearly LSU started Thatcher Hurd on Friday and he's moved back to the back end of the rotation. We get that. But at least they're still counting on Thatcher Hurd to be a good piece, and his numbers are pretty good. Quinn's out of the rotation. So they'll start with Gunnar Dennis, who's a left-hander, who's got an ERA of 4.5. And then they'll go to another lefty in Liam Doyle, who's been decent. And then Grayson Saunier, who's been there for a little bit, who's a sophomore righty. He's going to go on Sunday. And Ole Miss hasn't really hit quite as well as their really, really good teams. And right now, like, I like Mike Bianco a lot. I know he played here, and that was before my time, and it's not even really that. It's just, and I don't like Ole Miss at all, but I do respect their baseball environment. He's always been an incredibly nice guy, it appears. He's sent a kid here to play, and he came and was a part of a charity event here for Ronnie Rance and the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame back at the end of the winter. So I've always liked him, but I will say, like, if you look at this objectively, and you see what Ole Miss has been, and he built them from nothing into a top of the SEC type program, not like the top, like top half of the SEC program, but they weren't really good 3 years ago. They weren't really good 2 years ago, and they were the last team in the field, and they got in and got hot and won the national championship. They were bad last year, and I don't know if they're very good this year. They've played a little bit better lately, but they don't have an ace. They don't have superstars offensively like they have in the past. I mean, Jacob Gonzalez, Tim Elko, superstars. They don't have that guy, it doesn't appear. It just feels like a team that's probably going to win 12 or 13 games and probably miss the NCAA tournament. And at that point, like, you look at this and it's 4-year sample size of not very good play and 4 weeks of really hot baseball that got you a national championship. Build the statue, put the sign up on the wall. You know, he got a contract extension, all that. But and it kind of starts this weekend with South Carolina. If Ole Miss proves me wrong, goes out there and wins 17 league games and hosts, then fine. But I just don't see that right now. So that's kind of a brief look at, Auburn's playing Vanderbilt this weekend. They're Arkansas and Missouri, which I don't think is very interesting. I think Missouri's really bad. But that's kind of just a brief snapshot of the weekend in Southeastern Conference play starting up. I can't wait to kind of see how this shakes out in week one. You don't want to overreact, because last year, this past weekend, Tennessee went to Missouri and got swept. Okay? They got swept at Missouri. And they ended up one of the final 4 teams left in Omaha. So you know that it's not everything, 3 games, but we'll see how things shake out over the next 3 days. South Carolina and Auburn have gotten things underway in Nashville in the SEC basketball tournament. Early 5-4 lead for South Carolina. These two teams not playing for a heck of a lot. They're both pretty solid seeds. Auburn 2, 3, 4 seed. South Carolina probably 5, 6, 7 seed. And there's not a huge bit of difference in all that. So just kind of a good basketball game. Today's the best the SEC has to offer in terms of basketball, with the top 4 seeds playing and the winners from yesterday in action. So the early final, Mississippi State trounces Tennessee. The Vols will go home, kind of lick their wounds, and see what the selection committee has in store for them, whether it's a 1 or a 2 on Selection Sunday. That's it for this little segment here. We'll come back and close things out for the week. It's a Friday edition presented by Corks.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Protect yourself from power outages. I think we had a little bit earlier here at Guarantee, but I wouldn't know because we've got generators that throw the power right back on if the power does flicker. You can give yourself that peace of mind at home or at your business. If you're a homeowner, give them a call at Boudreaux's Electric for just $5.20 a day. You can give yourself the peace of mind of knowing, hey, the power's not going to go out. Whether you work at home, you've got a family at home, if you don't want the house to be 96 degrees when those hurricanes roll through inevitably, get a Generac generator from the folks at Boudreaux's Electric and protect yourself from that. $5.20 a day for the lifetime of that warranty. Whether it's a 7-year warranty or a 10-year warranty, they'll offer you that at Boudreaux's. You can check them out online. You can give them a call. They got locations at Donaldsonville and, of course, in Gonzales. 40 years owning and operating it for Neil and Melissa Boudreaux. Give them a call. It's Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
It's the details that make the difference between good enough and simply the best. At Skag Power Equipment, the difference is in designing lawnmowers with your convenience and comfort in mind. At Skag, we believe that quality and substance matter, and that you'll appreciate the attention to detail and craftsmanship we put into every single product. Thick steel and heavy-duty components provide you with unmatched reliability and performance. Skag, simply the best.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
The best kept
on Monday's OTB. Recapping St. Patty's Day weekend. Did the Tigers get it done in the Dude? Where will LSU women's basketball be heading? The latest from spring football and NFL free agency. And weekend winners. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Winding down on a Friday. Fired up to watch some SEC baseball tonight, LSU and Mississippi State. 6 o'clock from Duty Noble Field in Starkville. I think I laid out my preview of this series at the top of the show. I think Luke Dome being out this week is a big deal. He looked pretty good last week by my eye, and unfortunately dealing with some elbow tenderness that you hope is not season-ending for him. But when you consider the fact that they're going with Evan Ciari, who has not been a starting pitcher for them for 2 years, against Luke Holman, who you would think is one of the better frontline guys in the SEC, LSU's got a big advantage on the mound today, and they need to take advantage of it. If LSU can take control today, you feel good about getting a split at least on the weekend. That's what LSU needs to do. So I'm feeling pretty good about LSU baseball this weekend. I think they do get 2 out of 3. I think a lot of folks love to predict the sweep, and that's hard for me to do. I may get there for the Missouri weekend because Missouri looks real bad at this point, but I don't feel that way tonight and this weekend. Just make sure that Dakota Jordan and the guy that beats you, if it's Hunter Hines or Marshawn or one of the other guys, so be it. I'm just not willing to let Dakota Jordan do it. I think LSU does get 2 out of 3 this weekend at Duty Noble, and I'll be happy with that, depending on, unless there's something crazy that happens and LSU gives one away that I can get cranky about on Monday. But I don't foresee that. I think they'll be just fine. Need to win tonight, get a split on the back half, and push off the dock here in SEC play with 2 out of 3. LSU did that last year in College Station, getting 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M to get things started. We'll see what they can do in this weekend up there at the Dude. All right, let's do some take it or leave it. Back.
All right, first one here. Michigan fired Juwan Howard after the team went 3-17 in conference play and were only 8-24 overall this season. He did, however, take them to an Elite 8 and a Sweet 16 a couple years ago. But anyways, he's gone. The former NBA player as college coach trend is going to be over now. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Jerry Stackhouse, who was let go there.
Benny Hardaway's not doing great.
Yeah, he hasn't been super awesome. There's another
Patrick Ewing was really bad.
He was. Yeah, I'll take it. It probably is. Juwan Howard had a great start there at Michigan. That team that beat LSU with Hunter Dickinson was very, very good. And you mentioned the 2 second weekend runs that they made when he was there. And I'm a little bit cautious of just blowing everything up for one bad year because it's such a season-to-season thing.
Now
it's not like they're bringing all these guys back and you're going to run it back and with a team that went 3-17. You just overhaul the whole roster. If you think he's a guy that can do it, then you let him do it. But clearly there's a feeling in Ann Arbor that he's not the guy to do that. You letting Dickerson get away is sucks, even though he went to Kansas, and I don't know what kind of recruiting he's done, and I don't know how they feel about him. He got into some hot water with some of the things he did and said. Then he got sick, unfortunately, and so just been kind of a eventful run for Juwan Howard at his alma mater, but they'll move on, and you start to see some of these big-name schools open up, whether it's Ohio State, whether it's whether it's Louisville, whether it's Michigan. I'm curious to see kind of where some of these things shake out and where
I think Will Wade's going to be getting some phone calls soon.
Go to Ann Arbor. That would make my day. I'd never see him again. He was coaching Michigan up in Ann Arbor. I would love it. Stay out of Nashville, please. We'll see.
All right, next one here. The Yankees are hosting Seinfeld Night July 5th for their game against the Red Sox and will be giving away George Costanza bobbleheads, assistant to the traveling secretary bobbleheads. Take it or leave it.
Gotta take it. I'll be on the planes. No, he's. I mean, you gotta have that. I don't know if they'll have cotton jerseys there.
They should be wearing cotton.
The polyester. They're going to have the chicken concession stands from Tyson. Alcoholic chicken.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Anything that's got Seinfeld involved, I'm all in for it.
All right, next one. Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald announces retirement today. He was a Pro Bowler in every season he played and a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year and 8-time first-team All-Pro. Donald is a no-doubt first-ballot Hall of Famer. Take it or leave it.
That's a slam dunk.
I'll take it.
I was taken back because back in the first year of the show when Jeremy was here, we did an exercise where there was some website or newspaper or publication or whatever that came up with the best player of all time at all the positions. And Aaron Donald was defensive tackle. And that kind of was like, whoa.
And that was how many years ago?
Yeah, like 3 years ago.
4 years ago.
When he two All-Pros short of it. Defensive Player of the Year. Schefter went back to a tweet that he sent out from 2014 that said got multiple texts from Rams sources that say Aaron Donald is unbelievable, and that was from training camp before his first season, and they were right on that one. It's he was as dominant as they come, just unbelievable at pass rushing on the inside, and quite frankly, it was a big reason Joe Burrow does not have a Super Bowl ring. Not that Joe was awesome in that game, but Donald just blew up that bad Bengals offensive line, and even on the last play where who was open down the right sideline for Joe?
Remember.
Was it Jamar? Or was
it might have been Jamar.
Higgins or Boyd? It was one of the three that looked like they were running wide open down the right sideline, and Joe was on his back because Aaron Donald was in the backfield. So that's the first Hall of Famer if there ever was one, and a heck of a career.
Yeah, I think I heard whenever they have to, whenever the Hall of Fame, the teams have the guys that go to bat for the players, they have to go up and give a presentation. I think this one, they'll just put his name up, and that's probably all they need. They don't need any evidence for that one. Yeah.
Next on the agenda, please.
All right, last one here. Patrick Peterson listed his top 5 LSU legends on Good Morning Football, and namely had himself at number 3, which I guess, it's okay, but he also had Billy Cannon number 1. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave that. And I think we all realize that's a very difficult thing for me to do because Billy Cannon played football in the late 50s, and I was not quite around in the late 50s. My dad was 3 when he won the Heisman. So I got to think Joe Burrow's probably up on that list.
He is. He's number 2.
You could suggest that Billy Cannon did it longer at LSU than Joe Burrow did.
He's number 2. Yeah, Joe Burrow's number 2.
I mean, so he's ahead of Jaden Daniels, who won the Heisman.
Jaden Daniels was not on the list.
Oh, of course. They won the Heisman Trophy, not on the list.
The top 5 was Kevin Falk at 5, Glenn Dorsey at 4, himself, Patrick Peterson at 3, and then Burrow, and then Cannon. So it's hard, man. 5 players, it's tough.
Pat Pete was awesome. Pat Pete is one of the LSU players. When I looked on the field, I noticed that he was better than everybody else. Those kick returns against North Carolina and West Virginia, he's the baddest dude on the field for sure. And that doesn't happen all the time, but it did happen with Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels too. So, all right, that does it for us on a Friday. Corks Spring Shower Friday shows. Check them out online, corksfishandshrimp.com. Get on by for dinner on this Lenten Friday. Hope everybody has a safe and enjoyable St. Patrick's Day. Hope LSU takes care of business in Starkville, Mississippi. We're reacting to all of it coming up on Monday. Musso's going to drive you home. Have a great weekend. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile.